Welcome to Mainland, your local regional television station. I'm Tanya Omar, and some of the stories coming up in today's news. Maphu locals over the fence. Councillors call halt after blowout. Nelson Man's silly strife and more. Figures presented to Tasman District Councillors last Thursday have shown for the first time since its opening 6 months ago that the new $1.2 million Maphu Precinct Shed 4 complex has sustained a budget blowout of $577,000, nearly half the original total amount budgeted for the whole development. Tasman District Councillors immediately called a halt on the unbudgeted spending, and a report over the unbudgeted spend up is to be presented to them at a meeting later this month. Chrissy Small caught up with Tasman District Councillor Judean Edgar over this budget blowout surprise.
Judean Edgar, $577,000 overspend on this Maphu Precinct project. And counting, I guess.
As far as we know, and for me that's the big concern, is we had one line in a May report saying there have been cost overruns. Overruns usually is, I guess, a fairly minor amount in most people's minds, and there was no figure to it. And finally, in our financial report that came to council on Thursday, there was 577, majority of which related to this project. And of course, yes, there is work that hasn't been done.
What does that equate to in the actual budgeted cost of this area?
Well, the budget for the Shed 4 project was $1.2 million. So
that's over a 50% increase on top.
Absolutely. And so it's unbudgeted and unapproved expenditure. And that's where my real concerns come in, is that this work happened, it took place, councillors weren't informed, and councillors didn't get the opportunity to have any input on what should happen. So the irony, at that same Thursday meeting, there was a report about the Golden Bay Service Centre, and it was following process. And what it had required was, it said, okay, the project is going to come in over budget, so here is how we could reduce the scope of the project to be within budget. Here is what we could do within the budget. Here is the amount of money we need. Here are the reasons why, and here is where it will be funded. And that's process. And so you've got here a project where none of that process has taken place.
Okay, so you've got a commercial manager who's been overseeing this whole precinct and also is running the fact that he's like the landlord on behalf of council. Does the buck stop there?
Well, the commercial area is a new area for council. Some of the work isn't new, of course. So a couple of years ago, it was decided we needed to look at how we get best or make best use of our commercial assets. And so that is things like the Motueka Aerodrome, our camping grounds, and private lease properties that we do own. So we employed a commercial manager, established a commercial subcommittee. They don't have any delegated authority though. And part of that was, there are 2 members from council, but there's also independent members from the community. And so the oversight, any approvals, requests for expenditure for projects is meant to come back to council. The commercial manager is essentially a 3rd-tier position, so he reports to a 2nd-tier manager and, of course, the CE, who is responsible ultimately for all staff.
Right. Okay, was the CE aware of that cost overrun at any time?
I don't know. Look, certainly the commercial area falls under the corporate services department, and that is the area that does actually manage all of council's money. So if they didn't know, then there's been some poor project and financial management. Right. I mean, look, to me, in the budget the size of councils, if something ran over by 20 or 30,000, I could forgive that wasn't picked up until, final invoices come in, something like that. There is that degree of reasonableness. And certainly when the project was first reported to us about the budget in December, we were told we were running about 40,000 under budget. There was some extra costs, which would probably use that 40. Of course, we all went, well, that's fine, because it's going to come into budget. We understand little things crop up. 577, give or take, isn't little things. And it was 6 months ago it opened, so you shouldn't suddenly notice that amount of money. For the councillors, we have no role in employing staff. The only staff member we employ is the chief executive. And so we don't have any direct role in monitoring or accountability for their daily work. So I guess for any staff, the comfort that we should have is that any decisions are bigger than one person, that there is a process in place whereupon they are accountable to someone else who's accountable to someone else who's accountable to council. And so the process is what is meant to give ratepayers, councillors, the comfort. There's more than one person doing anything. So even if there's a lead on a project, there's these other, safety gates, catches in place that is meant to protect the ratepayers' money, and it hasn't been followed.
Mainland has requested an interview with Tasman Mayor Richard Kempthorne to discuss the cost overruns to find out what this could mean for ratepayers. While in Maphu, it seems that general opinion by Maphu locals on the purpose of the fence is Council's objective to block any vision of Hamishs to visitors on the wharf due to an ongoing dispute between Hamishs owner Adele Culto and Tasman District Council's commercial manager Jean Cooper. Adele Culto is currently awaiting on a judgment from the courts on a case she took against council last week over Hamishs ice cream parlour's previous council-owned wharf premises. It was Jean Cooper that Adele had been dealing with over leaving her former premises. Tasman District Council's commercial manager, Jean Cooper, initially stated that the fence was going up as a result of a restraint of trade disagreement between them and the previous potential tenant, Hamishs, who have since secured the privately owned next door site. The Maphu Community Association says that putting up a fence to screen out the competition is about as mean and mindless as parking your forklift in the loading bay of the next door tenant, as had happened to Golden Bear Brewing. The Mayor has written to the association to say that they are going ahead with the fence and that the council intends to support its tenants' interests. This response clearly showed a conflict of interest from council as a landlord putting Shed 4 tenants above the interests of its other community stakeholders. However, the Mayor then softened on the restraint of trade reason and said that a new fence structure would be shortened but still 1.7 metres high, would be mesh and iron, and would house the Shed 4 gas bottles and rubbish bins. The gas and bins have moved from the side of the Shed 4 building for what has been said as security, insurance and safety reasons to a position closer to that of neighbouring cool storage retail building, which leaves us and the Maphu Ratepayers Association asking who commissioned a building that had no accommodation for its services in the first place. Mainland's Chrissy Small took Judean Edgar over to the unfinished 1.7 metre tall fence placed in front of what will be the new Hamishs ice cream parlour to discuss what the fence will achieve.
Judean Edgar, divisions on the wharf. We seem to be having one right here, and it's caused all kinds of divisions in our community, and council have done this.
So it's been brought to our attention. Maphu and Districts Community Association came to council on Thursday and came to the public forum and spoke to us about the fence. I know that they've also put things on their Facebook page and have had responses from the Mayor and have discussed it with the Wharf group. But for all of council. It was the first time we'd heard about this, and so I know a number came and had a look afterwards. I'm struggling with its function. So we were told its function was about hiding the rubbish bins from view, which, there is merit that you don't have, rubbish bins everywhere looking messy. Sometimes you will get that anyway with buildings. But the angle of the fence, I can't actually see how that achieves that. It's still a walkway through, there's still visibility. The community association felt that the rubbish bin and gas bottle reasoning was not valid, and that it was actually about dividing council tenants from private tenants on the wharf.
Well, you can see why they would think that, Judean. I mean, it's pretty evident that the fence is running the wrong way to be blocking from visual sight the gas and the rubbish. So the local Ratepayers Association have a point, a strong point.
Yes, so we've put a halt on all unbudgeted work. This is part of that until we get a report back on the 30th of June. So that's part of the broader financial blowout that's come to our attention finally. And so I would like to think that there's actually a broader discussion about what is happening here, because I don't know the scope of the works. The fence is one thing, there's planters without plants in them, there's roading works happening which I don't know if they are or aren't part of the blowout. So we need to be sitting down together and talking about this. To me, the council report is step one. We need to be building bridges, not fences.
At the moment, do you think this could be a reaction by council to the fact that Hamishs, who will be taking this corner building, is currently in court with council over their former lease?
I can't really comment on that at all because it is a legal proceeding. The community association, that was the viewpoint that they brought forward to council on Thursday.
Yeah. What would you like to say to the community about how things stand with this fence?
Look, I wish I could give them some instant comfort. Unfortunately, I have none myself. I don't even have a lot of comfort about the report that's coming to council to talk about the works, the budgets, the how we got here, because a lot of it is so after the fact that I haven't got that comfort to give them. I'd like to say we have processes in place so that this sort of thing doesn't happen, and we do have processes in place. Clearly they can be not followed. So again, I would suspect that the report on the 30th of June is one step. It was suggested at the meeting that a lot of this may be happening under delegated authority. If that's the catch, then we need to review the delegated authority. So I think while some may feel that 30 June is where we close the case, I actually think it's maybe where we really open the case of what happened, how did we get here.
And who's responsible?
Yeah.
Judean Edgar, as always, it's a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you, Chrissy.
As her contribution to World Vision's 40-hour famine, local athlete 14-year-old Zaan Twiesel from Nelson College for Girls set about raising $1,000 by undertaking a 24-hour non-stop skating ultramarathon last weekend at Trafalgar Park. Zaan started at 2 p.m. on Saturday. However, the heavy rain and cold conditions had made the track very slippery, so Zaan moved to the Tahunanui skating rink for the final few hours Sunday morning. Crowds of supporters cheered as she finished her 24-hour marathon, and before she could collect herself, a large group of family and friends hugged her in celebration. Zaan estimated that she covered around 280 kilometres in the end, saying that towards the end she was really cold and her muscles had seized, so she could only go about 5 kilometres an hour. Zaan was supported along the way by members of the Nelson Roller Skating Club, who joined her in shifts throughout the day and night. Nelson Residents Association, NRA, brunches are designed as a forum for invited speakers to address issues before the upcoming local body elections. President Peter Ollerenshaw of Nelson Sustainable Strategy Group was invited to speak on the Southern Link proposal, whose position was in opposition to the road. At a previous brunch, Craig Dennis, who was a spokesperson for Progress Nelson Tasman, spoke in support of the Southern Link.
My reality is I don't believe the population that we have in this district of 100,000, the dispersity that we live, will be ever replaced by what some suggest. Okay, so Progress Nelson Tasman. Who are we? What are we doing? Let me set this timer so that I can actually speak to time. So Progress Nelson Tasman formally officially formed in June last year, and it came out of a number of coffee conversations, dinner conversations, meetings, whereby, excuse my French, but a lot of people were bitching about the lack of progress in this region. And out of that came, well, what can we do about this? What should we do about this? That then turned into a very large to-do list of what we thought should be unblocked. One of the common elements that kept coming in those conversations kept back to the Southern Arterial. So some other things on that list. We're a region of community interest defined by our geographics. It has nothing to do with council boundaries. So you can imagine this group had a pretty strong view on the amalgamation question. It had a pretty strong view on, if we look at the last decade, around what's been delivered by council in terms of some of the visionary statements that have been out there. Things like City to Sea and that. By the way, totally prescribed to it. But how far and how much advancement have we actually made? So it came out of this huge to-do list, and we boiled it down, and we kept coming back to the Southern Arterial as a key issue for this region to unblock, to make a whole bunch of other stuff happen.
I'm surprised that you as ratepayers are so keen to pick up the tab for maintaining Rocks Road. Is it $1 million a year? Because that's what will happen. If the Southern Link went through, Rocks Road would become, would revert to a local road, and the local body, Nelson City Council, would be up for maintaining it. And the real killer blow for the road, the most important thing for me, is that you can't actually road build your way out of congestion. It just doesn't work. Building more roads creates more traffic. You might think it's obvious, right? You've got too much traffic, you build more roads. Just like it's obvious that the earth is flat. The earth's not flat. I challenge you to name one place in the world where road building has actually solved congestion in anything other than the short term and made it a nicer place to live in. Can anybody name a car-dominated city that they like visiting? Does anyone really prefer LA to Barcelona? Houston to Copenhagen? Building a third road through Nelson to ease congestion would be a failure, just like the M25 ring road around London was. The M25 was built to solve congestion, and it was immediately gridlocked upon opening. People made investment decisions about that road being there. They moved their businesses out of London, they moved out of Nelson, out of London, and it was immediately full. Building roads to solve congestion is like a dog chasing its tail, as Auckland is belatedly realising.
For next month's NRA brunch, Mayor Kempthorne will speak about amalgamation and the proposed Waimea Dam. If you wish to attend, then you can book in at the Nelson Residence Office at the end of Nelson Central Arcade beside the Farmers Building. The elections are just under 4 months away, but acrimony between mayoral candidates is already starting to materialise, with Mayor Rachel Reese calling contender councillor Peter Rainey's media coverage in the Nelson Mail pretend news. In her Facebook post, she did not name the councillor, but referred to the story around the Southern Link referendum as an issue already up for discussion. And it is well reported that Pete Rainey is pushing for a referendum in this year's upcoming local body election. While the council is spat, Nelsonians are left to themselves trying to find any information on the local body elections. Tasman District Council and Auckland City Council, as examples, all have links to help locals know the timetable around the election time. However, Nelson City Council website has no links or information whatsoever, and when asked when this information might be available, the council call centre staff member, who was very friendly, looked but said they had no idea. Mainland can guide you to www.elections.govt.nz in the meantime. Between the 16th to the 21st of September, households will receive voting papers and the voting documents must be at the council before voting closes at 12 noon on Saturday the 8th of October. Nelson Police are looking for 13-year-old Sarah Stevenson. The police and Sarah's family have concerns about her whereabouts. She has not been seen since Friday the 10th of June, but is believed to be in the Nelson area. The young teen has been talking to friends on Facebook posts as recently as Monday morning. Please contact Nelson Police on 546 3840 if you have any information. A Nelson man was caught in what Coast Guards describe as a silly and avoidable situation over the weekend after having to be rescued on the Greymouth Bar while out in his kayak. Ethan Williams has more.
Coast Guard members on the west coast have decried the actions of a kayaker who had to be rescued from the rough waters on the Greymouth Bar over the weekend. West Coast man Brian Hunter said that the bar, known for being a notorious and deadly piece of water, almost claimed another life. A spokeswoman for St John Ambulance confirmed that the kayaker, who was understood to be Nelson man Jethro Nicholson, was taken to Grey Base Hospital in a moderate condition at around 3:30 p.m. on Saturday afternoon. The incident happened near the Southern Breakwater viewing platform, and Mr Hunter believes that Mr Nicholson must have jumped the fence to enter the water. This is a thought also held by Coast Guard. After having cancelled their own training over the weekend due to the terrible conditions, Coast Guard staff were confident that there wouldn't be any call-outs. Mr Griffin said that had the kayaker been swept out to sea, they would have likely had a hard time finding him given the conditions.
After the break, we'll bring you the latest weather update and some events and happenings coming up from around the region.
We're the team at JCar, right here in Nelson, 120 Hardy Street. Our shop is full of electronic items,
including security alarm systems, electronic components,
solar and power,
electronics toys,
sound systems, cables, and much, much more. JCar.
120 Hardy Street, Nelson.
Hi there, Julian Toon, Waimea Telecommunications. We install and maintain domestic and commercial satellite TV, UHF Freeview and Mainland TV installations in the Nelson, Tasman regions. We specialise in Panasonic telephone systems and provide communications, Wi-Fi, IT and wiring for internet, fibre, computers and DSL systems. At Waimea Telecommunications, we also provide specialist electronic systems for features such as a security camera you can watch on your TV, visitor alert systems and much more. Improve your security and communication and entertainment today. Call us on Waimea Telecommunications on 021 472297, ytel.co.nz.
World War I was a defining period in our history, impacting greatly on the lives of people from the Nelson province. Memories of the First World War is an exhibition which will be displayed in a number of regional venues and is currently on at the Nelson Provincial Museum.
Why would you want to pay as much as $1,000 for a single bed mattress when you can buy a high quality locally made mattress like this for as little as $220. And a queen size mattress could cost you in excess of $3,000, but at Nelson Beds you could have a mattress like this as low as $425. So why would you go out and spend a fortune on your child's bedroom when you can come to Nelson Beds and buy a complete single mattress and base set, a 7-drawer Scotch chest, a headboard and a 3-drawer bedside cabinet for as little as $979. So call and discuss our custom manufacturing options and local after sales service at Nelson Beds, Nelson's only bedding manufacturer.
Sit and Be Fit is on at the Victory Community Centre Tuesdays and Thursdays at 10 a.m. at the Victory Community Church, 238 Upper Vanguard Street. School terms only. Fun while you get fitter, work at your level. For more information, please contact Shirley on 547 1433 or 021 121 8023.
Victory 60 Plus is on Tuesdays at 1:30 through to 3:30 p.m. at 238 Upper Vanguard Street. You can join in for cards, games and a cuppa.
On behalf of the team here at Mainland Television News, thank you for joining us, and we'll bring you the latest news and events from around the region again tomorrow.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.
G'day, it's your old mate the Mad Butcher and you're watching Mainland TV.
Nelson Tire Center. Great prices, great service. Buy your own Bryford trailer. All types, all sizes. See Colin Douglas for your tires and batteries.
World War I was a defining period in our history, impacting greatly on the lives of people from the Nelson province. Memories of the First World War is an exhibition which will be displayed in a number of regional venues and is currently on at the Nelson Provincial Museum.
Hi, I'm John Crouch. I'm Crafer Crouch Construction. We're general contractors here. We specialise in drainage, earthworks, concrete, gravel supplies. We have our own mobile crushers. So for all your contract requirements, call us on 5783 475 Blenheim or in 5736 119 Picton.
Why would you want to pay as much as $1,000 for a single bed mattress when you can buy a high quality locally made mattress like this for as little as $220? And a queen size mattress could cost you in excess of $3,000, but at Nelson Beds you could have a mattress like this as low as $425. So why would you go out and spend a fortune on your child's bedroom when you can come to Nelson Beds and buy a complete single mattress and base set, a 7-drawer Scotch chest, a headboard and a 3-drawer bedside cabinet for as little as $979? So call and discuss our custom manufacturing options and local after sales service at Nelson Beds, Nelson's only bedding manufacturer.
Are you looking for a scooter, walker, wheelchair, baby seats or pushchairs? Then come in and see the Nelson Region Specialist at Mobility for You, 269 Queen Street, Richmond, opposite the library. We have a huge selection of scooters, walkers, wheelchairs and accessories, along with a free booklet guide. We also provide a breakdown service if you ever get a puncture or a flat battery. We have fully equipped service vans to rescue you. Hi, I'm Robin Jordan and I invite you to call in and see the friendly team at Mobility for You, 269 Queen Street, Richmond, opposite the library.
If you have a complaint about any program on Mainland TV, you can write to Mainland Broadcasting, Box 595 Nelson, or contact the Broadcasting Standards Authority.